Ireland play Slovakia tonight. We need a win. And Sue Ronan is with us to try and explain how we might go about getting it. Sue, how are you?
Good, Ger and Shane. How are you keeping?
Good. You were pretty much bang on with your prediction for what was going to happen in the last game. How are you feeling about this one with the injuries and the suspension mounting up a little bit for us?
Yeah, we have a few key players missing tonight, but I think we have a good depth in our squad now that we probably haven't had for ever in the past, and certainly for a number of years. So I think we certainly have players that can slot in and work in the system that Vera and her staff are implementing in the team. Obviously, players of the calibre of Megan Connolly, Jamie Finn, Rusha Littlejohn, they're a huge loss. Together with Niamh Fahey already out of the game. But as I mentioned, I think we have players that can slot in. It'll be interesting to see who she plays. There's a number of great young players in the squad from the Women's League, our own league here in Ireland. I would expect her probably to maybe stick with some of the tried and trusted players from over the years. I certainly think Lily Agg has done herself absolutely no harm whatsoever. I thought she was fantastic when she came on the other night. She changed the game. Not only did she score the goal, I thought she was brilliant in midfield. We seemed to get on the ball more when she came on. So I think she's probably played herself in, or should have played herself into the team in midfield. Potentially maybe Harriet Scott or Anya Gorman to replace Jamie Finn at right back. And then we've a number of options then to replace Rusha Littlejohn. Personally, I'd like to see maybe Jess Sue playing the number 10, or even Ellen Malloy from her own league. Put Heather Payne back wide and then play either Lucy Quinn or Leanne Kiernan up top, who will definitely score goals. Leanne Kiernan is scoring goals for fun with Liverpool at the moment. So she's plenty of options there. There's another number of other forwards who can play up top also. Saoirse Noonan, Amber Barrett, Kyra Caruso. So it'll be interesting to see what Vera does.
Is that the first time that you felt we have had that type of strength in depth where you can take 4 players out of the team who'd be first choice essentially and go, okay, it's not great. You'd obviously prefer to have all of your options available, but over the course of a campaign, this is going to happen and we're prepared for it.
Yeah, I think we are prepared for it now. And, we've played a number of friendly games. We spoke about this before over the last number of years and introduced different players and given them some minutes on the pitch and a taste of playing against higher opposition, and just the quality we have now in the squad. And again, we spoke about it. We've so many players playing professionally now abroad. Our own league has improved here in Ireland. We've some great young players coming through. So I really do think there's great depth in the squad at the moment. And it's always going to be difficult when you're missing 3 or 4 starting 11 players, but I don't fear it now as much as I might have feared it in the past.
So, that high that these Irish players have been on since last week, from a coach's perspective, is it more difficult to get players down from a high and back to the level at which you need them for the kick-off tonight, or is that something you can kind of utilise and almost use to your advantage?
I think we can use it to our advantage. I mean, if you look at the game last week, I suppose we all got it wrong in terms of what way we thought it might go initially. I certainly thought Ireland would take the game to Finland, but I think some nerves were definitely evident in the game. I think also we probably gave Finland too much respect. And look, they're the second seed in the group, and I suppose they probably maybe deserve that little bit of respect. Historically, but for me, and I've said it all along, we're a better team than Finland, and we've proven that now by beating them twice. So I was a little bit disappointed with the tactics in the first half, but I think we have to take into account there was no doubt some nerves there as well. I don't think we're going to have those nerves tonight. We've now gotten what we wanted all along. The target was second place in the group, at least, and we've gotten that. That's secured, regardless of what happens tonight. We're in the hat for that, the draw, for the playoff draws on Friday. But I think now the fact that we have that momentum, we've only lost once in this group. We've beaten that. We've proven now we can, to ourselves really more than anything, that we can beat that second seed home and away. So I think the confidence that the players will take from that will be a huge advantage tonight. And the poignant moment for me at the end of that game, with everybody celebrating, was the picture of Denise and Katie embracing each other on the pitch. And that said, for me, those girls have been there for so long. I mean, both of them made their debut under myself, actually. But Denise has been on the team since 2011. I think Katie a couple of years after that, and they've been through the highs and and more lows, probably certainly in the earlier years, and the near misses and the hard luck stories. And they just got over the line, and they were so elated from it. And I think they're a level-headed group. I think they'll take every bit of confidence from that now into the game tonight.
I didn't realise it's a full 11 years. She's still only 28, Denise O'Sullivan.
Yeah.
So, you'd hope that this is her peak. She just looks a class above everybody else when she's playing.
She absolutely is, and she was on our very our 2010 under 17 World Cup team and our silver medal in Europe team. Herself, Megan Campbell, actually both of them. Ciara Grant, who's also in the squad. The three of them were on that team. They won the silver medal against all the odds under Noel King in Europe. They were the first team to beat Germany in the under 17 competition. It was the fourth year of the competition, and Germany had won it the previous three times, and we beat them with a stunning Megan Campbell goal in the semi-final. Unfortunately lost on penalties in the final to Spain, but had that silver medal and qualified for the World Cup. And Denise was one of the main players at the time. Rihanna Jarrett actually was also in that squad. But straight away, Denise and Megan, both of them came up to the senior team. They were that good. So it is that long. And, Denise is just a world-class player. I said it the last day, and she is. She can change things for us. Okay, she probably didn't have our best game the other night, but I think Finland realised that she's one of our danger players, or our most dangerous player, and they certainly nullified her. They had extra bodies around her. Every time she got on the ball in midfield, they had extra bodies around her. But it was interesting. I saw the stats there from the sports scientist working with the team, and Denise, I think she ran something like 12 kilometers in the game, and 2 or 3 of those at high speed. So I mean, she certainly got around the pitch. She mightn't be on the ball, but she was everywhere trying to affect the game. And she is a class act.
That's really interesting to hear that, and that's the type of level of commitment that you're going to get from so it's not just that she has the quality, she also has the application. And eventually something's going to fall. One of those runs is going to end up, she's going to end up in space, and all of a sudden we'll score off the back of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And she keeps trying, she keeps going, she keeps pushing, and she's everywhere. And if you just watch her even in a game, and when we're under pressure in games, any games when we are defending, and she's everywhere. Like, she's trying to affect the game, she's trying to win the ball back, she's covering players. She's trying to get on the ball, she make things happen. She's just, as I keep saying, and I can't say it enough, like, she is a world class player. And I think if she was playing in England, maybe it would be more prominent, or because that league is now the top league, and it's the most publicised league. I suppose maybe the fact she's in the States, maybe we don't hear about it as much, or we do obviously here because we know of her and we're listening out for it. But maybe the people in the press or the people around Europe, whatever, don't hear about it so much. But I mean, her team have won the league in the US for the last couple of years. I think she's been voted the most valuable player as well on a couple of occasions over there. So she just is a world class player.
Yeah, Carolina's a nice place to live. That's the. It has certain charms. Yeah,
has some qualities.
Rainy Manchester, sure. Or sunny Carolina.
Absolutely.
Well, let's just talk about the role of Katie then, because there's been massive debate over the last 18 months about, can we get her more involved? She's so important to us. Could we just play her in the middle of midfield? What can we do? Is she a number 10? I don't know. I don't know. Did we get any of an answer? Did she end up on more ball like we would have liked the other night, or is this still a work in progress?
Katie. Katie's a very valuable player to us also, and there's another world-class player in my view. She didn't have her best game the other night, I don't think. Again, I think Finland had probably done their homework, but I don't think we helped ourselves. We didn't get on the ball enough in the first half. We tended to go long with it anytime we had it. We didn't look to build up and play through the thirds and get Katie on the ball. Maybe if she had been playing in the defence, we might have seen her on the ball more. But I think certainly from my point of view, and I think there's many others agree, I think we're better using Katie higher up the pitch, because she can, cause trouble in the opponent's defence. You want to unleash her in 1v1 duels with the opponent's full backs, because she can take them on or not, and still whip in great crosses, and I mean, she just has a stunning left foot, and such a short backswing as well when she's taking a shot or, whipping in a cross. She can put it on a sixpence for one of our attackers. So I certainly think she's better higher up the pitch, but she has shown she can absolutely do the job from further back. It was just one of those games the other night. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for her in the first half, particularly. And she just didn't have her best game, maybe in the green jersey. But look, she still worked really hard. She's still a great leader. She still inspires those around her, I think, and leads really very, very, very well from the front.
So I was just interested listening to Louise Quinn there a while ago on the show, talking to Aisling, and like, she was asked about the Slovakian strengths and maybe areas where they could hurt us, and I think she talked about the pace and the fast transition of the Slovakian players. One word she mentioned as well that struck me was physicality. And I was listening to the commentary on the radio with Nathan and Emma Byrne last week of the Finland game, and Emma was in that first half talking about the physicality of the Finnish players compared to the Irish players. Is that something that maybe isn't a massive concern? Like, it's just a case of doubling down on the strength and conditioning, or is that something that could be an issue for this Irish team going forward?
It's something I think many other countries have over us, or they certainly had. It's improving now because we have more players playing in professional clubs. But even going back when I was with the team, opponent teams, opposition that we played, even teams maybe ranked below us where we were a better footballing team, they just seemed to be physically stronger than us. And I think, I was from various workshops or speaking to different people, or trying to find out why. And, I think it was that they were starting younger in those countries in terms of strength and conditioning. They had it in the clubs, they had it in their underage national teams, where we didn't have it in any of our national teams at the time. And even a key one, something so small, they did so much PE and physical education in school, so this was something that they were doing as kids from a very younger age. They're building that physicality and they're building that strength and conditioning, and it was something that we didn't have. We've certainly caught up. We've gone a long way to addressing that in the last few years, but it's going to take a while, and it takes a generation, really. It's something that players have to start off with, or young girls have to start off with from a very young age. And then it's something that, naturally evolves in them. So, it's something that we have had a challenge with, but our football has gotten us through over teams like that. Now, when we go back to Slovakia, they're definitely an improving football nation, and they only narrowly lost to Sweden at home. I think it was 1-0. They lost 3-1 away to Sweden. They took points off Finland at home. They took points off us away. So they aren't any slouches. And when I saw them playing against us in Tala, I thought to myself, gosh, they really have improved, because, again, they would have been in the last group that I managed with this team, 4 or 5 years ago. They were in our group, and we beat them quite comfortably, I think. But they've definitely improved. Technically, they've all improved. And as you say, physically, they just seem that movement, that mobility around the pitch, they just seem to be able to do it better than they were. So they're not going to be an easy team to get the win off tonight. They did cause all sorts of problems in Tala. So we're really going to have to be on our A game, I think, to win this game tonight.
That's a really interesting point about the PE. Like, it's something that comes up again and again and again on the show whenever we talk to anybody who's kind of involved in sport, that, like, we've made a little bit of an effort, we've put it on the curriculum, and it's almost like, oh, well, that's the job done now, it's on the curriculum. What more can we do as a country? But actually, like, you still hear of PE classes being cancelled if something else needs to be made up. That's the first thing to be sacrificed. And it's also it's not really codified properly in primary schools.
No, we're way behind in terms of PE in school compared to many European countries. We really are. And you're right, it's sometimes at the whim of, well, is there something else on? We need the hall for today, or whatever it might be. And it's just not implemented enough, in my view, in schools. There should be a better structure around it. But, that's where it starts in many of these countries, and they have these programs in school from a very early age. And that's where that builds that strength and condition, that movement, that mobility, and players that eventually then, when they go into club structures, they have it there also, and then their academies. And many of these countries are ahead of us in that part of the game.
And here's the thing, it would actually benefit every single sport. It wouldn't just be, like, this is one thing that the IRFU, the FAI, the GA and the LGFA can all get in a room and go, we all agree with this, actually. So how are we lobbying the government to make sure that we're producing better athletes for our clubs and, like, for our health system?
For sure.
you know.
Yeah, well, exactly. The health system's a key one also, but you're right, every sport will benefit. You know, it's not just football, it's every single sport. But I mean, also the health of young children, and I suppose even just to get girls enjoying sport as well, you know, because we have a challenge there. When you go outside the elite side of the game, you have a challenge there, even keeping girls in sport in general terms. So it has huge advantages all around.
One last thing I wanted to ask you about was just the perception of the team and their willingness to give of their time and to do extra interviews. Like it was very noticeable after the game the other night that the players wanted to come out and talk. They wanted to tell their stories. They wanted to enjoy the moment and to share that moment with the fans, not just the ones who were in the stadium, but like by talking to the media and by being open about stuff. I'd love to hear what you think about this group and the journey they're taking women's sport on, and not just this football team, by being so open and being such great ambassadors.
Yeah, they're great ambassadors, and they are very open, and there's a huge connection with the fans, as I mentioned, and every one of them has their own story, and you know, storytelling is a big part really of that engagement in women's sport, and trying to make that connection with fans and trying to make that connection with the press over the years, you know, because in different sports, you know, the interest probably wasn't there, you know, but as the quality improves now in the sport and the players are still willing to share their story and they're open books, you know, and I think it's great, and long may it continue, because you see how close they are to the fans, and the fans definitely pulled them through the other night. You know, the crowd really got behind them when things weren't going well. So, you know, I love to see it, I have to say. I think the players are more than willing to continue to do that, and you see it everywhere in women's football. It's not just in Ireland. You see it in England. You saw it after the Euros. You know, I think it's a really vital part of our game.
Sue, like we briefly mentioned Megan Campbell's throw-ins and long throw-ins a little bit earlier, like and the Slovakian manager even asked about it, which was quite funny as well in his press conference. But like, I'm thinking back to even Aisling earlier mentioned the game a couple of years ago where you know, she basically contributed directly to a couple of goals for Ireland through those throw-ins. I remember a game as well. You were probably in charge yourself. It was probably around 2014 or so, a game against Germany when I think we lost the game, but I know a couple of the Irish goals came directly from a young, maybe 19 or 20-year-old Megan Campbell's long throw-ins. So this is and the obvious comparisons are to Rory Delap, but this is a weapon that you obviously utilised when you were Irish manager, and still, you know, 8 years on, here we are, still and rightly using it.
Absolutely, we trained it, you know, and you're right. We frightened the life out of Germany in that World Cup campaign. We took the lead through a fantastic throw-in under the main stand by Megan, put into the box, and Louise Quinn got her head on it. She frightened the life, as I say, out of Germany. They equalised and managed to go 2-1 ahead. It was that game still, you know, rankles with me, and I'm sure if you ask Emma Byrne about it, she'll say the same. You know, I mean, they scored a freak winner, wind assisted cross went into the goal. The wind carried it in over Emma's head. But they were 2-1 up, and in the 89th minute we equalised with another throw in from Megan. Stephanie Roach this time got her head to it, and it is such a weapon, and they just couldn't deal with it. And at the time they were at the top of their game. They were European champions at the time. I can't remember whether they went on to win it then the next in that campaign or not. Oh, that was the World Cup campaign, sorry, but they were European champions, and as I say, they were at the top of their game, but they just couldn't deal with it, and we trained it, and we had different movement for it, and Megan puts that ball in better than you can actually put a cross in, because she keeps it so flat and it just flies like an Exocet missile, you know. And watching her the other night do it, because she hasn't played a lot of football, as we know, and she hasn't been at the team for a couple of years, and I was just thinking to myself, I wonder, has she lost any, you know, distance in the throw? Because, you know, as we all get older, I suppose we lose different things, but oh my gosh, she still has the same power and direction in that throw, and it was really such a weapon. And I think it's something the girls will, if Megan is playing tonight, hopefully she is, can certainly be used, and I'm sure again it'll frighten the life out of the Slovakians.
Just thinking as well, Sue, about the fact that for some reason the away form in this Irish team seems to be excellent in comparison to the home form, and we talk about the record home crowds and the support they get at Tallaght Stadium, and yet it's the Sweden and Finland games away that you think back to it as maybe the most impressive performances. Like, is there something in that? Is there something that just on the road certain teams tend to get results sometimes?
Yeah, like we talk about the crowd at home, and they are great, and they do help get the team over the line on a lot of occasions. But it can bring some pressure as well, and maybe when things are not going well, the players might go into themselves unwittingly. But they have been really playing very well away from home. What's the reason for it? I'm not really sure. But they will need another good performance tonight because, as we've said, Slovakia are a dangerous opponent. They've nothing to lose. We've nothing to lose, which is good from our point of view as well. Like, we can put the icing on the cake by avoiding that first round of playoffs tonight and getting ourselves into that second round and giving ourselves a really good opportunity of qualifying directly for the World Cup or indeed through the Interfed competition. So I think we might just get over the line tonight, maybe by the odd goal. I think the pressure is off us now. We've achieved what we wanted to achieve. I think, from that point of view, we're not going to have any pressure. We should be able to play our football. We should be relaxed. We should be calm. Maybe that crowd and the expectation at home, well, on one hand, it definitely does help us. Maybe it weighs us down a little bit at times. That won't be there tonight, obviously. It's one of those. It's a catch-22, really, the home. But we have played very, very well away from home, so hopefully it continues tonight.
Sue, great stuff. Thanks a million for joining us. Cheers. Enjoy the game.
All right, guys. Take care. You too. Bye-bye.
That's Sue Ronan there giving us her thoughts on the game this evening. It's a 5 o'clock kickoff. We'll have live commentary for you from 5 o'clock on OTB Sports Radio, and it's all in association with Sky, proud partner and supporter of our women's national team. Out, believe together, and show your support as Ireland look to make history and reach their first ever World Cup. So just you can get it on the OTB Sports app, click the radio button, or you can also get it on any of your smart speakers by just telling them to play OTB Sports Radio. Now,